Hi, I'm Paul from the Studio Rats. In this series of videos, we're looking at the effects that are inside the Boss Katana. Now, I had quite a few requests for me to do a video on how to use a compressor and how to use a compressor inside the Boss Katana. So that's what we're going to be doing today. If you like what we do, it would really help us if you like and subscribe and click on that little bell button, and that will inform you of any future videos that come out from the Studio Rats. So what is a compressor? A compressor is a way of evening out the dynamics of your playing. So for instance, if you have very soft pick attack and a very hard pick attack in the same phrase, it's going to even it all out, so it's going to be roughly the same sort of volume. Now, not only can we use compression as a correctional tool, we can also use it as an effect as well. So it gives us that sort of sound. So for instance, if I play a phrase without a compressor, so that's with the compressor off. If I switch it on, same phrase. So as you can hear, all of the dynamics in my playing has now become more even. Now, as an effect, like Dave Gilmour from Pink Floyd uses compression in a great effect, something like this. So what the compressor's doing, even though we haven't changed any of the settings, it's fattening up the sound and it's giving a really even tone. So let's go through and have a look at some of the controls in the Boss Katana compressor. So first of all, we've got sustain. Now I'm going to keep it really simple for this, as a studio compressor, as I would normally use. You have a few more variations with the controls that you can use. With this, sustain, which is the first control, we're going to class that as basically the amount of compression. So if I take the sustain back to 0 and I switch off the compressor, it's more or less the same sort of sound. So I'm going to bring up the sustain, which is going to flatten out the signal. On this compressor, now this is my favourite setting, which is the light setting on this, but I'm going to go through some of the other settings in a minute, and I like to keep that around about 60. Right, the attack is the amount of pick attack that's going to come through. So if I take that down to 0, and now let's take it up to 100. So that's going to increase our pick attack. Now let's keep that around about sort of 70. Right, tone. What a compressor tends to do is to cut off some of the top end. So with the tone, we can boost that back up and we can add some more high end. So if we keep it at 0, that would be flat. Now if I wind it back, we're going to get a duller sort of sound. And if I wind it up, we're going to get a much brighter sound. Now, the compressor has just taken a little bit of top end off, so let's keep that around about sort of 10. Level is basically the volume of the compressor. So as we're running in series with these effects, if I take the level back to 0, it takes the volume back to 0 as well. So what you want to do with this level is to get about the same amount of volume out of the compressor as if the compressor was switched off. So that's with the compressor switched off. Switch in. Just need to bring it back just a little bit. Okay, now the last control we've got here is the different types of compressors. The first one is the Boss Comp. Now the Boss Comp, let's wind the sustain back a bit. The first one, which is the Boss Comp. Now this is the classic Boss compressor, which I think is a CS2, CS3. It's a much more aggressive compressor than the light setting, which is my favourite. The next one is a high band compressor. Now that's basically compressing the top end, but letting the bottom end through. The next one is the light, which is my favourite, which I already showed you. D-Comp, that is the classic Dynacomp, which is a MXR compressor. Which is a really nice sounding compressor. It's a lot more aggressive than the light setting, but it's a bit smoother for me than the Boss setting. The next one, we've got the orange compressor. And the next one, we've got the fat compressor. Now for me, this is a bit flubby on the bottom end, so I don't tend to use that one. And the next one is mild. Now with the mild compressor, it tends to take off a lot of the top end. So you really have to wind the tone up on this one. Now, as I said, my favourite is the light compressor. We'll keep the tone back there. So if you haven't liked and subscribed already, it really helps us if you do, and you'll also be notified of any future videos that come out from the Studio Rats. So I'm Paul from the Studio Rats, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.